Think medieval people never washed? Think again. From sophisticated soap-making guilds to bustling public bathhouses, the Middle Ages had fascinating cleaning practices. Let's explore how our ancestors stayed fresh in ways that might surprise you. Let's tackle one of the biggest myths about medieval times, that everyone was walking around covered in dirt and grime. The truth is way more interesting. Medieval people actually took their cleanliness pretty seriously. In fact, most towns had public bathhouses where people would gather not just to get clean, but to socialize, make business deals, and even get medical treatments. These bathhouses were so popular that by the 13th century, Paris alone had 32 of them. The upper classes often had their own private baths, and medical texts from the time show that doctors recommended regular washing for good health. Even peasants, contrary to popular belief, would wash their faces and hands daily and take full baths when they could access water sources. Let's dive into medieval soap making. It was quite the sophisticated process. The basic recipe combined animal fats with lye made from wood ash, but medieval soap makers didn't stop there. They added aromatic herbs like lavender and rosemary, not just for pleasant scents, but also for their natural antibacterial properties. In larger towns, professional soap makers formed guilds and closely guarded their recipes. They created different types of soap for various purposes, from harsh laundry soaps to gentle facial cleansers. Some popular ingredients included olive oil, which was especially common in Mediterranean regions, and various plant oils like hemp and almond. The most expensive soaps contained exotic ingredients like crushed rose petals and imported spices. The soap-making guilds were like the Silicon Valley startups of medieval times, innovative, protective of their trade secrets, and incredibly influential. These guilds were especially powerful in cities like London, Paris, and Venice, where master soap makers had to train for years before earning their guild membership. They developed quality standards that were strictly enforced. Using the wrong ingredients or selling subpar soap could result in heavy fines or even expulsion from the guild. Each master had their own special formulas, passed down through generations of apprentices. They also controlled prices and production volumes, making soap making one of the most profitable trades in medieval cities. Public bathhouses weren't just places to get clean. They were the social media hubs of medieval times. These establishments, known as stews in England, offered hot and cold baths, steam rooms, and even massages. Visitors could rent towels, buy soap, and enjoy refreshments while catching up on the latest town gossip. These bathhouses were so central to daily life that many cities had laws requiring them to stay open late into the night. Interestingly, some bathhouses even had different sections for various social classes, and many offered medical services like bloodletting and tooth extraction. The atmosphere was lively, with musicians often performing while people bathed, and some facilities even served food and wine to their patrons. Now, let's explore the medieval world of natural fresheners. People back then were incredibly resourceful with herbs and plants. They would scatter fresh rushes and herbs like chamomile, lavender, and mint on their floors, which not only smelled wonderful, but also helped repel insects. Wealthy homes changed these aromatic floor coverings regularly to keep things fresh. People also carried small sachets filled with dried herbs, called pomanders, which served as natural air fresheners. These weren't just for pleasant scents. Many of these herbs, like thyme and rosemary, had natural antibacterial properties. They would also hang bundles of dried herbs in their wardrobes to keep clothes smelling clean and protect them from moths. When it came to laundry, medieval people were surprisingly thorough. The most common method was washing clothes in rivers or streams, where washerwomen would beat garments against rocks or wooden boards to remove dirt. But they didn't stop there. They also used lye, a powerful cleaning agent made from wood ashes and water. For delicate fabrics, they created gentler solutions using herbs like soapwort, which naturally produces a soap-like lather when crushed and mixed with water. In cities, professional launderers set up shop near rivers, using large wooden tubs and specialized tools. They even developed different cleaning methods for various fabrics. Wool required gentle handling to prevent shrinking, while linens could withstand more vigorous washing. Let's step into a medieval castle, where cleanliness was actually a sign of nobility and refinement. Castle staff worked tirelessly to maintain high standards of hygiene. Servants would sweep floors daily, using special brooms made from birch twigs, and regularly replace the fresh herbs and rushes that covered the stone floors. The castle's private chambers featured wooden tubs for bathing, often lined with linen, and filled with heated water carried bucket by bucket from the kitchen. Nobles had their own personal washing bowls and ewers, typically made of silver or brass, and used scented waters for daily cleaning. The garderobes, medieval toilets, were cleverly designed with chutes that carried waste away from living areas and were regularly cleaned with vinegar and lime to control odors. Medieval doctors took cleanliness seriously, linking it directly to good health in their medical texts. They followed the theories of Hippocrates and Galen, believing that bathing could balance the body's four humors: blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. These physicians recommended specific bathing temperatures and times based on a person's temperament and the season. They advised washing hands before meals and bathing regularly to prevent illness. Many medieval hospitals even had strict cleaning routines, with some requiring patients to bathe before admission. Doctors prescribed different types of baths, some with herbs for treating specific ailments, others with wine for strengthening the body, and even cold plunges for reducing fevers. Religion played a huge role in medieval hygiene practices. In Christianity, cleanliness was seen as a way to purify both body and soul. Monks followed strict washing routines with detailed rules about when and how to clean themselves. Before entering churches, people would wash their hands in special basins called holy water fonts. Islamic influence in medieval Spain introduced even more sophisticated bathing customs, as Muslims practiced ritual washing 5 times daily for prayer. Many monasteries had advanced plumbing systems, including water wheels and underground pipes, to ensure clean water for washing. The concept of spiritual purity became closely linked with physical cleanliness, making regular washing a religious duty as much as a practical one. The medieval soap trade was a fascinating network that connected Europe with distant lands. Exotic ingredients like Arabian perfumes, African palm oil, and Asian spices traveled thousands of miles along established trade routes. Venice emerged as a major hub, importing essential oils from the East and distributing them throughout Europe. Marseille became famous for its olive oil soaps, while Castile's soap from Spain, made with pure olive oil, was so prestigious it became a luxury item in royal courts. Merchants from the Hanseatic League transported these precious cleaning supplies across northern Europe, making specialized soaps available in cities from London to Novgorod. These trade networks didn't just move products, they also spread new soap-making techniques and recipes across cultures. Thanks for joining us on this journey through medieval cleanliness. If you enjoyed uncovering these fascinating hygiene facts, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Share it with someone who thinks medieval folks never bathed.